Well, happy Monday or Monday to all my savage badger peeps. Can you believe we are we are halfway through November? I cannot believe it. I mean, it's November 17th today. It's crazy. My birthday is going to be on Thursday. I'm going to be 53, which is so like totally dope and epic and just a whole vibe in and of itself. But I listen, I really have been, and I've been trying to do this more and more with like podcasting and things like that, is I want to approach it like that looks so weird when my arms go up because my leg, I'm sitting here in my great chair. So let me sit like this so we can, we're here. But I've really been trying to approach my Monday podcast, just podcasting in general, like, we're sitting down and we are, we're having a real conversation, right? Like, I want it to feel like we are in the same room, even though we aren't, right? And, you know, I want it to like, where I'm having a real conversation with you right now, right? Like, let's say it's the kind where, again, where we're sitting across from each other and just, envision like maybe, we're sitting there with coffee that's gone cold because, we've been talking so long, even though you're listening to me, I just want to have that whole vibe. So give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about that. And, is it working? Is it, something? I know there's, I don't know, so many different ways out there that we can do this, but I just want it to feel personal and I want it to feel connected. And I also want you to, if you are seeing this video, is like knowing, or if you're not, just knowing I'm looking you straight in the eye when I say this, that the comfort zone that you're wrapped up in, it's not protecting you, it's actually caging you. And that's what I want to get into this week. Um, I know this because I've been there, right? And, you know, I mean, God, good Lord, hell, I honestly feel like I have built myself this luxury cage, right? Complete with, I'm talking 600 count thread cotton Egyptian, the Egyptian cotton sheets. And, I, maybe have like masked it in self-care. And dude, my quote unquote cage is like all the freaking luxury, indulgent bells and whistles, right? Like I had every excuse lined up, like soldiers. And I just got to a point where I was tired, right? I deserved rest and I'd earned the right to coast. And then all of a sudden, like every single one of those excuses was valid, but then the validity and the vitality of it, those are two totally separate things, right? Two totally separate meanings. And I was choosing the wrong one. And that's how I picked this quote. Actually, I shouldn't say I picked this quote. I stumbled upon it. And, and if you've been listening to me for a while, I do not believe in coincidence. I believe everything comes to us at exactly the perfect moment, exactly when we need it. And I know that's why this quote resonated with me so deeply. And it's your comfort zone is a padded cell, cozy, but it kills the view. And this is unknown. I'm not sure where this quote, who said this or whatever, but I just want to, with that, I just want to get straight into it today because I really wrote a lot on this and I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. So I just want to cruise on in with you on this fabulous Monday into this week and help you kickstart it off the best way that like we totally freaking can, right? So here's what nobody tells you about comfort zones, right? They're not actually comfortable. They're familiar. They're safe, right? There's a massive difference here between the two. Familiar feels safe because your nervous system recognizes it, right? And it wants to be enveloped in it, right? Like that warm, perfect, cozy blanket that it's like your favorite blanket, right? But here's the other thing. Um, cancer cells inside your body, they're familiar. We all have them, right? It doesn't mean they're good for you, right? You know, it's this golden cage paradox. And so think about, like, I talked about the cage, and think about a bird cage, like, and a beautiful, ornate, Victorian golden cage for a second, right? And if you know that era and you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of people have them in their home as, like, just these, opulent decorations, right? There's the ornate bars, and then it has the really plush perch in it, and you know, like, all just, like, maybe it has like beautiful flowers over it or in it or whatever. Maybe there's even a bird, right? And that bird totally has like all the freaking seeds they could want. But from the outside, it looks like total luxury. Like, oh my God, it's beautiful, right? The gilded cage. But from the inside, it's still a cage. And, the bird might be safe, or whatever's in it might be safe from predators, protected from storms. They have all the food, they'll never go hungry, but it also never learns to fly. And your comfort zone works in the exact same way. It promises protection from failure, promises protection from rejection, disappointment, right? And then it delivers on that promise by making damn sure that you never spread your wings, right? You just stay where you are. And it's like keeping your life on airplane mode, but forever. Sure, nobody's going to bother you, but you're also completely disconnected from everything that really matters, from following your heart, from pursuing your dreams, from obviously, and quite honestly, from becoming totally epic as fuck, right? And the real kicker about this is, while you're in there, and you're admiring these, beautiful bars, and all the things that you have, life is still happening. And it's funny because I just interviewed somebody, and she always says life is lifing, right? Well, life is lifing, as a you know taking from what she had said, it's not wrong. Opportunities are knocking, and, walking away when nobody answers. Like, things will come in. And if you don't take advantage of it, that shit's not hanging around. It's like, bah, see ya. It's going to go, right? And, your potential, it's literally just gathering dust. And the view, the incredible, the terrifying, those breathtaking views, some of, I like to call Krista vistas, of what your life could be, is completely blocked by the very bars that you are clutching onto, right? So we all build them, we all do it, but why do we do it, right? Now, I want to tell you something, about these comfort cages that we construct, right? Because understanding the architecture helps you to find the door, right? And to be able to open that door, right? Unlock that door. We don't wake up one day and decide to live small. Like, we don't wake up and be like, you know what? Screw this. Bags? What bags? Dude, I'm going to totally compartmentalize, squish, make my life as small and mediocre and minimalist as possible. No. If you say that, I would like comments. I would like you to email me. I want to know. I just, out of curiosity, right? Totally, like, I can't say that nobody's ever said that, but I'd like to think that we aren't thinking about ways that we could totally become mediocre and be mediocre, right? But it happens in tiny, reasonable increments. And what I mean by that is, maybe you tried something bold once, right? And dude, you totally got your ass handed to you. I am speaking from experience, right? So you built one bar because of that. So then, you put that up because, okay, this totally happened, and okay, I feel protected. Then your nervous system begins to downregulate, perhaps. So then maybe you watched somebody else crash and burn, right? And then, well, that triggered something in you, right? So you added another bar to your cage. And, then it's added in maybe some well-meaning advice from people who love you. Be careful, don't rock the boat. You need to play it safe. Are you sure you want to do that? You might fail. That's a big risk, and before you know it, you have built this cage so complete that you can't even remember what freedom feels like. And here's the truth, right? Here's like the legit truth bomb about that. It's your comfort, that comfort zone that you have, worked on, right? Built from foundation and have crafted and curated, isn't built from self-love. It is built from fear that is dressed up in a self-care costume, right? Um, every time that you choose familiar over growth, you're not being kind to yourself. You're being cruel, to your potential. You're being cruel to you, right? Because you do matter. You are telling the part of you that wants to expand and explore and become and do and show up and, create, right? That it's not worth the risk, that staying small, being mediocre is more important than becoming whole. And with that, there's always a cost, always, whether it is, the consequence of it, whether it's a positive consequence or a negative consequence, right? Empowering, disempowering, right? And I need you to understand what this comfort is actually costing you, because once you see the price tag, you might not be so eager to pay it, even if it shows up as a sale. So first, it's costing you experience. And every day that you spend in your cage is a day you're not out there collecting stories, building skills, meeting people who could change your life. You're trading adventures for reruns and returns, right? Second, it's costing you growth. Your muscles need resistance to grow, right? It's you go to the gym and you're pushing not to failure, but challenging yourself, challenging your muscle for growth, right? Your character, your capabilities, and your confidence, they all work the same way. No challenge, no change, right? And your comfort zone is keeping you psychologically scrawny. And the third thing that I really want to articulate in here is, this is one that should scare you. It should scare you. You should feel uneasy about this. It's costing you time. And, I have mentioned this often in my podcast. Time, once you spend it, your bank account of time, when you make a withdrawal, you do not get the ability to go up and say, I would like, I want to get the deposit slips for my time account because I want to make a deposit. It doesn't work like that. Once you spend your time is gone. You cannot get it back, right? And unlike money or opportunities, which you can make more, get more, you cannot do that with time. Every day you spend choosing comfort, every second that you spend choosing comfort over growth is a day that you'll never get back, is a moment, is a second, is a minute, is an hour. And I'm not saying this to make you feel badly or to point the finger. I'm saying it because I fucking do it. I still, right? I am not perfect. And this is what I love about, and this is why I want the podcast to feel totally like we're having a conversation, is because I'm still doing the things and it is a work in progress every day. And I'm, always like having like strategies and things that I can do to help me like look at this and like, oh my gosh, okay. It's like for me, this is a mirror to be able to do this, right? So like when you're 80 or when I'm 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever, 150, like, I talk about all the time, you know, I don't want to remember, or, and I'm hoping that you don't want to remember the nights that you stayed up doing, you know, the nights that you didn't, stay up doing something that mattered or missed opportunities, right? You won't remember the nights that you maybe, like not remembering the nights that you didn't get enough sleep, right? But I think that for me, if I, taking pause and looking back on that, like, look, how many nights I don't track it like that anymore, but I'm not going to look back and say, okay, so on this day and I rolled around fitfully I'm not going to. but I can tell you with certainty that I will remember most of the nights that I went to bed and I was thinking about missed opportunities or things that I didn't do, or, like even thinking about something I'm doing and, if it doesn't come to fruition, a deep regret that I'll have, right? Because here's the deepest cost with that, and I'm telling you, with the business and things like that, I tend to like wake up more in the middle of the night and just think about things, right? It's that staying, and here I'm using the cage as the metaphor, but staying in the cage, it's costing me, or will cost me, the chance to know who I really am. It will cost you the chance to know who you really are. And because you don't, get the ability to discover yourself by staying safe, you discover yourself by testing your edges and by challenging yourself and by finding out what you're made of when shit gets real, right? That is when we begin to peel back and really, and I am talking really see deep into ourselves who we really are, right? So I want to clear something up right now because, maybe you're thinking, okay, yeah, Krista, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I need, more peace in my life. I need, to do these things. And I understand that. And I understand not staying in my comfort zone, but I need rest and I can't be in Badger warrior mode 24/7. And guess what? You are 100% absolutely, positively correct. I get it. But comfort and peace are not the same thing. They are not synonymous, right? In fact, chronic comfort is one of the most anxious states that you can actually live in perpetually, right? And why is that? Well, because deep down, nobody else might, but inside that you're hiding and you're playing small and you're choosing mediocrity and there's more in you that wants to come out. That you want to do the challenging, hard things, right? And real peace comes from alignment, from knowing that you are living according to your values and pushing toward your potential and showing up as you really are. And you can't get that kind of peace from inside the cage. You get it from courage. And, peace, what it is, it's actually the exhale after you've done the hard thing. Comfort is holding your breath and hoping that the hard thing will go away. Like if I it's like when you're a little kid and you play hide and seek and you think because if you cover your head or eyes, nobody can see you, but they can still see you, right? So, you know, with that, it's understanding there is a key and there's only one key, and you are the key. And here's the part that should simultaneously, I'm just take should out. I, Perhaps, no, not even perhaps. This needs to scare you and terrify you and also thrill and exhilarate you all at the same time, simultaneously. You built this cage, right? And guess what? That means you have the key. It's not in someone else's pocket. It's, not, hanging up on somebody else's key ring, or, you're not waiting for it to like somebody to bring it, or like some locksmith's coming to. It's in your hand right now. And the bars of your cage, they are not made of steel. They're made of stories that you have perpetually told yourself. Maybe it's, I'm not ready. I need more time. What if I fail? People don't like, me. People like me don't do things like that. Maybe it's like, oh my God, I don't want to disappoint people. I'm scared if people think it's silly. I'm scared what people are going to think. I should just be grateful for what I have. Every single one of those bars can be unlocked by changing the story and by deciding that maybe, just maybe, the story that's keeping you safe is also keeping you crushed and small. So let's take the view, and I want to look at it from the outside, right? If we can, because typically we are so in ourselves, right? In any given situations, because it's us, it's going to be our optics. But if we can pull back and just look at it from the outside, like we are somebody looking in, you want to know what's waiting for you outside the cage, right? And that's why I like to do this. Like, maybe we can call it our own outside objective optic, like, pulling out, so this is looking at everything in your life outside of you, like you pulling back and looking at it. And I'm not being dramatic here. And I know it's kind of like, oh, okay, what is like an out of body? No, 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 no. It's basically taking a step back and not being subjective. It's being objective. And I'm being literal. Outside your comfort zone is where you find out that you are braver than you thought, that you are stronger than you thought, that you are more epic than you thought, right? It's where you discover talents that you didn't know you had because you never even tried to find out before. You never needed them before. And it's where you meet people who will change your life, have the conversations that rewire your brain and collect the experiences that become your story. Outside your comfort zone, that's where you stop being a consumer of life and you start being a creator, an alchemist of it, right? Where you stop watching other people's highlight reels and you start producing your own, where you stop wondering, what if? And you start finding out what is, and that view from the outside shows you mountains, that you are capable of climbing, oceans that you're capable of crossing, and these really epic versions of yourself you are capable of becoming. But you can't see any of that when you're stuck inside the cage. So, how do you break free, right? I've waxed poetic on all of these things and talked about it. And I want to, I don't just say stuff, excuse me, without bringing into it a strategy, hot badger tips, an escape plan, right? Let's talk escape plan. So I've gone, like I said, I've waxed poetic. I've gone like philosophically, like all there. Let's get tactical. I like getting into the nitty gritty and being able to start breaking down and looking for resolution. So are you convinced that you need to use the key? I'm going to say good because I'm going to imagine that, yeah, if you are listening to my podcast, yes. So here's what we're going to turn it into. So strategy one, right, is you're going to identify one caged habit to break this week. If you can, write this down. If you're driving, please, I prefer not to have you do that. Just go back and find the timestamp, and you can do this when it is safe. So I want you to get brutally honest this week about your comfort habits, right? What's the thing that you do that feels safe, but it keeps you small? Maybe it's scrolling instead of creating. Guilty, totally guilty. Saying maybe later instead of yes to invitations. Maybe it's sticking to the same routine, like it's like the freaking holy scripture, right? Or avoiding difficult conversations like they're contagious, right? Choosing Netflix over a workout again. So pick one, not five, not two, not your whole life, just one caged habit, okay? And this week, you're going to break it. Not forever, just this week, okay? I'm not trying to blow up your whole life here. I just want you to start picking the lock one pin at a time. So, strategy two, replace it with a view. So, nature abhors a vacuum, right? And so does our brain. You can't just remove a comfort habit. You need to replace it with something that challenges and excites you, right? And James Clear talks about that. And this is where you design your new view. So if your caged habit is scrolling, replace it with creating, even if it's just a voice note to yourself about the day. And I'm not kidding you. When I say KISS, keep it simple, stupid, I'm literally telling you, keep it simple, stupid. If it's avoiding invitations, accept the next one that comes your way. but don't accept it out of obligation. Accept it because it's something you truly want to. You'll know, you'll feel the vibe, right? And if it's the same routine, take a different route home. Eat lunch somewhere new or switch up your workout. I actually started, so even I do have a dude, and I've got, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my handle's Gritty Glitter Badger. Dope gym. I have a dope garage gym, right? You can see it on there, but everything I do is from home. So it is nice to get out. And I just have started going to a newer gym outside of my house to just get out of the house and like work out in a different space and stuff like that. And it was totally weird, even though I have been going to the gym, oh my God, since, I've been in gym spaces since I was 15. New spaces, I had a little anxiety, right? Because it was totally different from my routine. But epic, man, just getting out there, totally epic, right? See, and the key is this, it's the replacement should feel slightly uncomfortable, not terrifying, not like you want to scrape your eyeballs out with your fingers, not overwhelming, just enough to wake up your nervous system and remind you that you're alive, right? And think of it as the difference between lukewarm water and that first splash of cold water that makes you gasp, right? We're going for the gasp. It's that simple. So 3, track your fear to freedom moments. And here's where I get scientific about this shit. Because if you've been following, you know me, I am a total geek nerd when it comes to research, science, data. I'm all in. So I want you to document every time you choose growth over comfort. And it doesn't have to be in some fancy journal that you're going to abandon by Thursday. Although I do love a good journal and some sweet pens. I'm just going to let you choose whatever way works for you. Maybe it's voice notes on your phone. Holy shit, I just signed up for the class. Or it's photos of yourself doing something uncomfortable, text messages to a friend. I did it, right? It could be tick marks on your hand with a Sharpie, whatever. A jar where you drop a penny every time you choose courage, right? The method doesn't matter. What matters is that you are creating evidence, right? That because your brain loves to forget brave shit that you do and remember only the comfortable shit you didn't, right? That this tracking, what happens is it becomes proof that you are not who you were yesterday, that you are not who you were last week. So 4 is celebrate discomfort as a sign of life. So this one's going to rewire your whole system, right? If you let it in. And every time you feel uncomfortable, instead of retreating, I want you to recognize it as a sign that you're alive, right? You're alive. Those feelings you're feeling them because you're fucking alive right now on this earth in the middle of a solar system, dropped in the middle of an infinite universe. You are growing, you are becoming, right? And I want you to feel the flutter in your stomach before you speak up in the meeting. It's okay. That's not fear, that's your potential knocking. Feel that resistance before you hit publish on that post. That's not a warning, that's expansion. Feel the urge to cancel plans and stay home. That's not, wisdom. That's your cage calling you back. So start treating discomfort like a friend who's trying to show you where the growth is, because comfort can be a liar that tells you staying still is the same as being safe, and it's not. And because it is going into my birthday this week, I just feel so inclined to give you some extra Badger Pearls of Wisdom. And I wrote down and I created the Gritty Glitter Badger Guide to Cage Breaking. And I even think I'm going to create a little downloadable guide that y'all, I'm going to put it, you know what? Think out. I'm going to create a little guide and put it in the show notes. Free. You can download it. So now let me give you some real world boots on the ground tactics, right? That are going to help you actually implement this shit, because I know you. You're great at reading about change. I know that because I do it. And then Monday comes and, well, I'm back in my cage, rearranging my furniture, like, woo, check out this new chair. Oh, that view. But that's not how we grow. That's not how we move forward. And that's not how we become epic. So, hot badger tip number 1, the 5-minute courage window. When an opportunity to break out presents itself, you have exactly 5 minutes to take action before your brain starts building more bars. So, see that workshop invitation? Register now. Get asked to collaborate? Say yes now. You want to start the project? Open the document now. Don't give your comfort zone time to wake up and start whispering sweet excuses into your ear. The second hot badger tip, the uncomfortable uniform. So once a week, wear something that makes you feel slightly too visible. Maybe it's a bold color. Maybe it's those boots that, make you walk differently. Maybe it's lipstick that feels too much. Or, maybe instead of just wearing mascara, you do a little eyeliner as well. This isn't about fashion. It's about practicing being seen and owning it. Even when you feel inside like, oh my fucking God, right? Because hiding in your cage often starts with hiding in plain sight. Hot badger tip number 3, the what would brave me do check-in. So before any decision, ask yourself, what would the brave version of me do here? Not the perfect version, not the fearless version, the brave version, the one who feels the fear and they do it anyway. And then do that thing. Even if your voice shakes, even if you have sweaty palms, you get cotton mouth, you feel like you're gonna like puke or barf or something, especially if all of those things, do the thing. So hot badger tip 4, the comfort zone map. So this is where you actually, you're going to draw an actual circle on a piece of paper, right? You get your pen, pencil, whatever it is, draw a piece of paper on a circle. And then inside, you're going to write everything that feels safe and comfortable. And then outside the circle, and I would suggest, picking a different color, right? Outside the circle, you're going to write everything that feels scary, but it's exciting and exhilarating, right? Get your pulse going. Now, here's the kicker. Once a week, you're going to move one thing from outside the circle to the inside of the circle, not by avoiding it, but by doing it until it's no longer scary. So you're going to watch your comfort zone that expand. You're going to watch your world get bigger, right? So badger tip number 5, the weekly cage rattle. I love a good title. I love a good theme. I just love it. Every Sunday, you're going to plan one thing for the upcoming week, right? That's going to rattle, it's going to shake, it's going to shimmy your cage. Something that makes you go like, oh, holy shit, right? Am I really going to do that? Put it in your calendar. Tell someone about it. Tell me. Seriously, I will be there for you. Let me know. You can, DM me on Instagram, Gritty Glitter Badger, or email me grittyglitterbadger@gmail.com, right? Seriously, make it real. And this isn't about being reckless. It's about being intentional about your expansion. So, hot badger tip number 6, the discomfort buddy. So find someone else who's trying to break out of their cage. And I'm sure we all are. So we know people who are. And I just want, check in weekly, share your uncomfortable wins, celebrate each other's cage rattling moments, right? Isolation is comfort's best friend. Connection is courage's fuel. So here's what I need you to understand as I wrap this up. The cage is not your enemy. And if I make it seem like that, that's not what I'm trying to do here. It truly serves a purpose. It kept you safe. It can keep you safe when you need safety, right? And it gives you rest when you need rest. And I honestly thank it for that service, because it's going to ebb and flow. We are going to need the comfort of the cage, and then we're not going to need it as well, right? But then That's what the freaking key is for, right? Because when you were meant to live in a cage, no matter how golden the bars are or soft the perch is, right? You are also simultaneously meant to be able to fly and to explore and to discover just how far your wings can take you. The door's not locked. And the crazy thing is it never was. It's just heavy. And maybe it creaks when you open it. And that sound might wake up everyone who's comfortable with staying small. So open it anyway, right? You know, your cage break starts now. And I'm not going to wrap this up with some, I already did the quote or about, like you spread your wings and soar like an eagle. Like you've heard all that before. And, you're still in your cage reading articles about getting out of the cage. Sometimes, look, I can tell you right now, last week I was in my cage for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But with that, I'm going to tell you, pick one thing from today, just one, and do it today. As soon as you stop listening to this, if you can, not tomorrow, not the next Monday, not when you feel ready, today. But here's the final truth. Using the key will, this isn't just about breaking free, right? It's about what doesn't break you. And the only, it's like being able to use the key and knowing that you've been holding on to it this entire time. So the cage is comfortable. I get it. It's plush and deluxe, but comfort without growth isn't comfort. It's a slow death dressed up as life. And you deserve a fabulous view, a Krista Vista. You deserve the freedom. And you deserve to know what you're capable of when you stop letting fear disguise itself as wisdom. So the key is in your hands, my friends. What are you waiting for? Don't just go through life, grow through life.